Okay, let's talk about something we've all felt at some point, right? That awful wave of nausea that just stops you in your tracks and ruins everything. Well, today we're diving into a guide that takes a really close look at an ancient remedy, ginger, and how it's been turned into a super modern, fast acting solution. So let's get into it. So, here's what we're going to cover, following the guide's path. First, we'll tackle the problem of nausea itself. Then, we'll get into why ginger is the go-to natural solution. After that, we'll see why liquid drops might be the best way to take it. And then, we'll get really practical. How to pick the right one, a showdown of the top 5, and finally, a solid action plan for getting relief. All right, first up, the guide really sets the scene by talking about something we all, unfortunately, know so well, nausea. It's that universal feeling, right? That discomfort that can just hijack your whole day. Yeah, the source calls it that wave of queasiness that stops you in your tracks. And it's so true. Whether you're dealing with motion sickness, morning sickness, or just one of those off days, it's that feeling that has so many of us searching for something that works and works fast. So what's the fix? Well, the guide points us to a really, really old remedy. But what's cool is it doesn't just stop there. It gets into the modern science that actually explains why this ancient root has been trusted for so long. And get this, according to the source material, ginger is definitely not some new fad. We're talking about a history that stretches back over 5,000 years. It was a big deal in traditional Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine. They even called it a universal medicine for stomach issues. And now, well, today's science is finally catching up and proving what people knew ages ago. But how does it actually work? What's the secret sauce? It's not magic, it's pure science. The guide points to these two heavy-hitting compounds, Gingerols and Shogaols. These are the key players that help settle your stomach, basically by helping things move along smoothly and blocking those nasty signals that make you feel sick. Okay, so we've established ginger is great, but the guide goes a step further. It argues that how you take it really, really matters. It makes a strong case for a very specific, modern format to get the absolute most out of it. I mean, think about it. You can get ginger as a tea, in chews, or even capsules. So why drops? What makes them so special? Let's dig into what the guide says makes them the top choice. It really boils down to two things: how fast it works and how strong it is. The big argument here is that with liquid drops, especially when you put them under your tongue, they absorb super fast. We're talking almost instantly. Plus, they're way more concentrated, so you're getting a much more potent punch compared to, say, a tea or a chew that has to go through your whole digestive system first. So, the guide sums it up with 4 main advantages. You've got that rapid absorption we just talked about, high potency, so it's strong, ultimate portability, you can just throw the bottle in your bag, and of course, unmatched convenience. Let's be real, when you're feeling queasy, the last thing you want to do is brew a cup of tea, right? All right, so now that we know why drops, let's talk about which drops. The market is packed with options, and the guide is pretty clear that they are not all created equal. So how do you pick a good one? To cut through all that confusion, the guide lays out 5 critical things you need to look for. Think of it like a checklist to make sure you're getting something that's actually going to work and is safe to use. Now, out of all those points, the source really doubles down on one in particular: going alcohol-free. The logic is simple. If your stomach is already sensitive, the last thing you want to do is add alcohol to the mix, which can be pretty irritating. So an alcohol-free formula is just gentler and a smarter choice for most people. Okay, so using that 5-point checklist, the guide actually did the work for us and came up with its own ranking, a showdown of the top 5 products out there for 2026. So who's the winner? After running all the options through that tough criteria, which one gets the #1 spot? Let's see what the rankings say. And here we go, the full breakdown. Topping the list at #1 is a product called Extract48. The guide highlights its alcohol-free formula and this high-tech nanotechnology for better absorption. The others in the top 5 all have their own pros and cons, which are laid out pretty clearly, like Vitality Roots being alcohol-based or Nature's Calm having lower potency and more sugar. Okay, picking the right product is a huge step, but it's really only half the story. Now we get to the fun part: how to actually use these drops to get the best possible results. The guide gives some great practical tips on this. It breaks it down into 3 different methods. For the absolute fastest relief, you put the drops right under your tongue. If you want something a bit gentler and also hydrating, you can just add them to a glass of water. Or, for a more soothing, comforting vibe, mix them into a warm cup of tea. It's all about what works for you in that moment. So what should you expect to feel and when? The guide actually gives us a timeline. Right away, you might notice a little warming sensation. Then, within about 15 to 30 minutes, that queasiness should start to fade. You'll likely feel the maximum effect within an hour, and that comforting feeling can last for 3 to 4 hours. Pretty cool, huh?
And this is super important. The guide also covers safety. Look, ginger is generally very safe, but it makes a point to say you should definitely talk to your doctor first if you're on blood thinners, have gallstones, have surgery coming up, or if you're pregnant. It's always better to be safe. So, when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway from this guide? It's that these modern, high-quality, fast-acting ginger drops can be a really powerful and natural tool to have in your corner. It's all about restoring that comfort and balance so you can get on with your day. Which kind of leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? In our world of super complicated fixes for everything, could the answer for something like nausea really be this simple? A modern spin on an ancient root, helping you reclaim your day. It's definitely something to think about.